OGGM coming to you live from Site B. And warning, this is a sponsored video. Sponsored. I'm drinking coffee. And trust me, I wish it was something stronger. Not just any coffee, but sponsored coffee. So if you want to try out the same coffee I'm trying out, you can check out the link below and we'll talk about that more. But first, we need to talk about this. The Dungeons and Dragons movie intentionally emasculates its leading male characters. Chris Pine and the other two guys are intentionally made to look like buffoons in this movie so the two females can carry it. One of which being Michelle Rodriguez, who hasn't carried a movie in, I mean, I love her, but Michelle Rodriguez plays Michelle Rodriguez in every movie she's in. And not that well. And then, of course, we've got Sophia, who, I mean, she's done movies before, but she's done small indie stuff, and she did It, and she was great in It, but, you know, it was an ensemble piece, and It was basically carried by the clown, and her TV stuff has been great, but again, that's like small independent stuff. I mean, I don't know if she's ready to carry an entire fantasy film, but here we go. Yes, the creators, writers have admitted that they intentionally went out of their way to make Chris Pine and the other male leads and all the male bad guys look like idiots. They emasculated them. And this is like people going, well, I'm boycotting the movie, even though a bunch of people said they were boycotting the movie 2 months ago. And I was like, you know what? I've been boycotting this movie since August because they literally said the same thing in August. Chris Pine was like, oh, this is a silly, stupid movie that you should watch drunk. Now, the worst thing is HASBRO okayed this. HASBRO said, oh, yes, we want to make a powerful fantasy action-adventure comedy that will springboard a possible legacy franchise. So we really want to make it, come out of the park with all engines running. We know our competition is basically the MCU, specifically Guardians of the Galaxy, because we're introducing a bunch of characters nobody really has ever seen before in a world that most people don't really know anything about, and so we've got to really establish these characters from day one, moment one, as characters you're going to want to feel for and feel emotionally attached to. We want our male lead to have emotion and breath. We want him to be funny, charming, but also the kind of guy you want to lead into battle, but sort of a broken character the same way Star-Lord was. And we want all our supporting cast to also, create this family dynamic and all be characters that people can identify with. So, we know our competition is the MCU. We know our competition is specifically kind of the Guardians of the Galaxy feel, because that's the kind of feel we're going for this. So the very first thing we want you to do, the very first thing we want people to see when they sit down and that movie starts is our male lead, the man who's supposed to carry the film, the guy who's supposed to maybe get the franchise on his shoulders, be made to look like an idiot. That is what HASBRO, want this film to do. That is what I am counting on in order for this film to make the $500 million we think it's going to make. We want you to make our male characters, our heroes, our lead, to look like an idiot. This is filmmaking at its best, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the reason why HASBRO's stock is down yet again today. Do you think there's anybody who actually wants to see this in a supposed action comedy film? Is there anybody who's like, yes, I want to see Chris Pine step up because, he made such a bumbling, but everything else he's done. And I mean, even look at him in the interviews. He looks like he's stoned and doesn't want to be there. Hugh Grant definitely doesn't want to be there. Michelle Rodriguez, I'm just making a paycheck. It's me in green makeup. The other two guys, I can't believe the guy gave up Brightonton and a major Netflix series that he could have a guaranteed paycheck for, as long as they're still making Brightonton stuff for this. I don't want to do Brightonton anymore. I want to be respected as a serious actor. So I'm stepping down from this very serious, award-winning, multi-million-dollar, praised, high critique TV series that's going to guarantee me a paycheck for every time I work on it for the Dungeons and Dragons movie, because that's the movie I'm going to put my resume on. I want to be known that I'm the guy who was in the D&D movie who gave up Brightonton for this so that I could go out of my way to look like a fool. To look like a fool. To be in a movie where the male lead said, this is a movie you should see while you're drunk because it's stupid. Where none of the cast has played D&D before. None of the creators has played D&D before. The movie is being made by people who think D&D is a joke, and Hasbro said this is okay. It's okay that we want you to create a film where our main characters look like idiots because we want to make our men look like idiots. The D&D movies, males heroes aren't always heroic. We wanted to do something similar to Tom Holland's Peter Parker and Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark. We like to make our heroes to be challenged and not simply heroic. That's fine. I mean, Peter Parker, Tom Holland, perfect. Robert Downey Jr., perfect, evolution of the character of Iron Man for the very first moment we see him to the very last moment we see him, then the legacy he left behind and how that character growed and changed in some ways, but didn't grow and change in other ways. Same with Peter Parker. And then according to the interview, Chris Pine apparently enjoyed making himself look as bad as possible, almost to a fault, to the point that he had to be reminded to look heroic in some scenes. So yeah, Chris Pine went out of his way to make the characters look idiot. The directors made the characters look like idiots if we went out of our way because we wanted our characters to look like Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man. Yeah, that's fresh. That's different. That's embracing the legacy of D&D. That's once again making D&D players look like idiots, like Thaco the Clown. Oh, this is what we want. We're idiots. Yeah. Oh, how about this one? I think maybe that I responded to most of the script was that it's all about losers. A little band of comrades are all a bit crap. You're not great at being a bard. And the magician played by Mr. Smith is really bad. What do you call magicians in Dungeons and Dragons? Sorcerers? He's not much good. And Michelle Rodriguez's character has been thrown out of whatever. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I want to read from somebody who's never played the game, knows nothing about the game, and wants the characters to be losers. There's a way to do losers so that they come out on top and you feel for them. And I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is perfect. Magnificent Seven, perfect. Force 10, perfect. The lovable loser who comes out ahead at the end. That's something that characters have been done throughout film, both for comedic and action, because then when the lovable loser comes out ahead at the end, you're like, yes! And as opposed to this movie where I'm going to, people are going to be like, why did I just spend $15 to watch an hour and a half of stuff I have no idea what's going on about an idiot failing to save the world, so that the one female who might, be able to carry the film is like, hey, I'm the cute druid that can owlbear shape. That's what I'm going to be remembered for. People talking smack about me for being able to turn into an animal I shouldn't be able to turn into. I mean, it's a gamble. I mean, everybody who did Guardians of the Galaxy gambled that it would be successful. But of course, Guardians of the Galaxy is late phase 2. And Kevin had already established the MCU and the flavor of the MCU. And we knew how the MCU was going to work. So we knew what to sort of expect with Guardians of the Galaxy. And, and here's the same thing where, oh God, I wish this was alcohol instead of coffee. Is all I can say. Is there a way to doubly boycott a film? I want to boycott this film more than I've already boycotted it. And speaking of coffee, would you like to try some of the same coffee I'm drinking? If you know me, you know I'm a soda guy. So for me to say I prefer this coffee to soda, you got to know this. It's amazing. And yes, this is a sponsored video, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't keep drinking it if I didn't actually like it. Because I think we know from the last sponsored video I did about the stuff from Try the World, I will be honest, even if you are sponsoring me. So yeah, Kuso Coffee, wonderful people. Very down to earth. I've spoken with the guy who basically runs the company more than once. Good sense of humor, good group of people, environmentally safe, cold brew, all the other things you want to hear about a company. But basically, they make coffee, and they make good, decent, instant coffee, which is something that's hard to find. And so, yeah, if you want to get yourself a sampler, you can use the link down below, get a discount on your first selection, and of course it goes to help support the OGGM. And speaking of supporting the OGGM, if you appreciate the nonsense I put out every day, maybe head on over to Big Geek Emporium and buy my merch, because that is the best way you can support the OGGM adventure. Sure, I have the Patreon and the Ko-Fi and the memberships, but really the best way to support me, if you really want to support me, is to use the link down below. Go over to Big Geek Emporium, buy my merch. They're $2 a pop. And it's the best way. Also, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great Friday. And we got one more thing to talk about today, and that one's probably going to get me in trouble. So I wanted to get the palate cleanser of bagging on this movie out first. Because, yes, we went out of our way to make our male heroes look like idiots. Because that's what the audience wants. That's the kind of movie that's going to make millions of dollars and win Oscars. That's the kind of character you want to put the flag bearer of a franchise. Yeah. Get off my land.